Hey folks, Mr. Dell here. We are looking at approximating square roots. And this is coming from CPM's course 3, and this is section 9.2.3, number 989. So it says determine the positive value that makes each equation true. If the answer is not a whole number, write it as a square root and then approximate it as a decimal rounded to the nearest tenth. So if I look at the first one, it says if x squared equals 36, then x equals what? Right? So I'm looking for a number that multiplies by itself, x times x, that gives you 36. Well, what's true? 6 times 6 is equal to 36, right? What's also true is negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36, but that's why they put in here determine the positive value, because we're not going to worry about the negative. We're just going to come up in this case with the positive. So we'll just use this as my answer. So what's true is, so x, for this one, x equals 6. Okay. Now if I go to B, again, I'm looking for two numbers, the same number that multiplies twice to be 65. Well, if I think through, there isn't really exactly one number, one whole number that gives you 65, right? The concept is square root. In fact, I should have done that on this one. What we're looking for when we talk about finding the number that multiplies by itself is finding out what the square root of 36 is. So that was the initial piece I should have wrote, was square root of 36, and then therefore x equals 6. So in this case, again, if I'm looking for the same number to multiply twice, what I'm looking for is the square root of 65. So this isn't a perfect square, but it's close. So what we do to approximate, let me show you. We write the perfect square that is above it and below it. So what I'm going to write above it is, let's see, the square root of 81. And below it would be the square root of 64, right? Because the square root of 81 is 9 and the square root of 64 is 8. So I know my answer, and I'm going to use squiggly marks mean approximately. I know my answer is going to be approximately 8 point something. So I've got to figure that out to the nearest tenth. So I look at this number and I determine where is it at in terms of location between 81 and 64. Well, it's really close to 64. In fact, it's only one away. So it's definitely going to be lower, a smaller number here, right? So in fact, it's barely above. So I would say that's 8.1, right? So I know that it's approximately 8.1. All right, let's keep going and do the same thing. So this one again, x squared is equal to 84. What am I saying? What two numbers multiply to be 84? Well, to figure that out, we have to take the square root of 84. And once again, square root of 84, I don't have a perfect square. That's not a perfect square. But what I can tell you is I can tell you that here, let me rewrite square root of 84. What I can tell you is that the perfect square right below it is 81. The square root of 81 is 9. And then the one right above it would be the square root of 100. That's the perfect square above it, right? So that's 10. So notice those are the two whole numbers that it's going to be between. So this is why memorizing your perfect squares is important. So knowing what your 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, all the way up is. So again, approximately what? If I look where 84 is compared to 100, it is 16 away from 100, but it's only 3 away from 81. So it's definitely below 8.5, right? 8.5 would be in the middle. It's closer to the 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. So any one of those would be good. I'm going to, in this case, say 8.2, approximately 8.2. So again, that's my x. Last one, x squared equals 13. So what times what is equal to 13? So we figure out, in this case, what is the square root of 13? That's what I want to approximate. So my perfect square below it would be 9, because the square root of 9 is 3. And then the square root of 16 is 4. Those are the two perfect squares that are between, that 13 is between. So I'm going to look to see where am I at. I know my answer's got to be 3 point something, right? Approximately 3 point something. So it's 4 away from 9, but 3 away from 16. So it's above the middle. It's more closer to 4. So it's not going to be 3.5. It's above that. So maybe 3.6 or 3.7, something to that effect. Okay. All right. There we go.